The civilian toll of Russia's invasion grows by the day. If the killing continues, the West will have a moral obligation to get involved, says Fabrice Pottier, a former head of policy planning at NATO.
We could prevent those massacres and those possible deaths if NATO were to be willing to actually take on a little bit more risk.
What could that risk involve? Pottier says NATO could effectively blockade Russia.
I think we should control more access on the Baltic and the Black Seas, especially the Baltic is critical to Russian trade. 70% of Russia's trade go via the Baltic. Obviously, they will not let that happen easily, but I think we are geared, we have the plans, we have the capabilities to do so.
NATO should play Russia at its own game, says Pottier.
We can do also much more in terms of basically cyber operations. So the hybrid type warfare, which Putin has been associated with for some years, but where actually we also have assets. And in order to disrupt, actually, again, the Putin war machine.
US President Joe Biden last week announced an additional $800 million in security assistance for Ukraine, including Stinger anti-aircraft systems and armed drones. Former US Ambassador to NATO, Kurt Volker, also the US Special Representative for Ukraine negotiations until 2019, says more weapons are needed.
More air defense systems, including those that operate at higher altitudes. More shore-to-ship systems to take out some of the Russian naval ships in the Black Sea. I do believe that the MiG-29s and other fighter aircraft should be provided. We're not quite there yet. I understand the arguments against a no-fly zone, but I think we should not take it off the table.
Volker says the supply of military equipment to Ukraine needs improved coordination.
And NATO could provide something of a clearinghouse function, and it could provide an assurance of delivery by creating a safe place for that in Poland and ensuring that it arrives successfully in Ukraine.
Western leaders fear any escalation could lead to direct confrontation between NATO and Russian forces and a conflict between nuclear-armed powers. But some argue NATO must take on more risk now or face a far greater threat if Russia succeeds in capturing Ukraine. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News at NATO headquarters in Brussels.